Hey everybody, it's Always Bookin Comedy. We got a pre-taped episode. We are taping this earlier today. I am on an airplane, hopefully, although United just delayed my flight several hours, and now I'm taking off right around taping time. So I might be on to take live questions for a few minutes, or I might be at LaGuardia Airport for hours and hours during the broadcast of this. We'll see. We got Andre Medrano. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Andre Medrano, that's me.
All right, from Brooklyn, New York. How are you today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Mark. How are you? How's your trip to New York?
It's been awesome. I've been here 6 nights, or 6 days, or no, 6 nights, I guess 7 days, and did a bunch of great shows. Your show was a banger, super fun, great lineup. Yeah, New York City is it's incredible. How long have you lived in New York City?
I grew up in New Jersey in the suburbs, and then I went to Vermont for college for a couple of years. Then I lived in Colorado for a while, and I've been back for over 15 years on the East Coast in the New York area.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
we originally met at the Vermont Comedy Festival. I don't know if you remember that.
yeah, we were housemates in that
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So 15 years. When did you start comedy?
I started doing like sketch stuff around 20 end of 2013, beginning of 2014, and then I started stand up like 2016 towards the middle of it. So
Okay.
about 10 years right now.
So
But
always in New York City.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's wild to me. I can't quite figure out how people get started in New York City and get any kind of success based on the open mics I've done in New York City.
Yeah, it's the only place I've ever been based out of, and I travel a decent amount, but it's the only place I've ever been based out of, so I don't have a great reference. But I think there's two sides to it. Like you can do as much comedy as you want. Like you can every day do five, six mics if you really want to. Some of them are pretty bad, and none of them. Some of them don't really give you anything. But like that, those first 2 years, I think it really helps to just like get up over and over and over again. But then you hit a lot of plateaus, and I mean, you've been here. Like even people you see on TV rarely do more than like 15 minutes anywhere. It's really hard to
Right.
kind of like grow. So, as a rule of thumb, I try to get out of the city at least once a month, and by the city I mean like New York, Long Island, New Jersey, in the suburbs. But like go to let's say like Philly or further at least once a month, and I found that works really well for me. It's you feel better about yourself for sure. You're not sitting in front of people like doing comedy in front of people that just have no emotion, and also it's good to be able to do a little bit more time.
Yeah, totally. So when you hit that 2 year mark and you're feeling pretty comfortable on stage, but you're still doing the mics, how did you transition into, I don't know, I guess getting booked on shows? Were people that you started with starting to run shows, or how do you get out of
Yeah,
that?
I think that aspect of New York is pretty useful, where the social component of it is like constant because you're always going to like three or four different mics in a night, so you get to know people even if you're not really friendly with them. And everybody you meet is starting the show. I think one thing you might have noticed about New York, it's not hard to start a show, like at least a bar show. There
Hmm.
are a million bars and clubs, and they'll give anyone a chance, and it might not last, but you can do it for a couple months. So the people you start with start giving you spots, and then you start a show and start giving them spots and stuff like that. And also, I just found like there's no shame in just carpet bombing every show and sending a tape. And you're going to get a lot of no's early on, but you're going to get some yeses. And if you do well, it's going to lead to other shows.
Yeah, do you have a technique for sending tape? Like, because you must get tape. Do you have any advice for people sending
Yeah,
tape?
I do. I think obviously send a tape that's it doesn't have to look great, but you have to be able to hear very well. I think a really big thing is avoid having the host bring you up at the beginning of the tape. Just start with the jokes. Keep it to about 5 to 7 minutes unedited, and I mean, keep in mind like the person watching it is a comic probably, or at the very least has been around in comedy a long time. So if like someone walks across the tape and everything else is fine, it's not a big deal. And there's going to be lulls in a set and stuff like that. But the amount of insane tapes I get submitted to Landline, I mean, you're a producer too, it probably happens, but like people will send tapes and be like, "Oh, I'm way better than this, by the way. It's 4 years ago." I'm like, okay, well, you have a phone, you can just shoot a set, but um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about when did you start your first show? And you said it's pretty easy to start a show. How does that work in New York City? You just walk up to a bar and then what are the logistics? Like, are you bringing the equipment? Are they paying you? You know, that kind of stuff.
It varies widely. The very first show I ever started was a show called Would You Rather that was started with a dude I met at UCB, where it was just like Would You Rather scenarios we would ask other comics. But the kind of little catch was that it was all people we knew, so they were things about their lives. And that show's on hiatus right now, but it's been going for about 8 or 9 years. The first place we did it was a place called the Experiment Comedy Gallery that was kind of like an upstart comedy venue. So they were brand new and they were taking pitches and they liked the show. And that venue ended in not the best way. The owner had some problems, but from there we started pitching into other places. We did it at what's now called St. Mark's Comedy Club. It had a different name back then. And then for a long time, that show, I had brought on a new co-host. We were friends and lovers. And I guess to answer your question, the bars or the venues are 100% responsible for lights and audio and all that stuff and tech. The pay differs very, very, very greatly. Like when we were first at Friends and Lovers, it was before the pandemic, we would get a cut of the bar, which was actually pretty good for that. And then after the pandemic, they switched their model to 70% of the door after costs, which was really good because we were doing very well. There's other places like the show you did where my agreement with Landline, I'm sorry, with Wild East Brewing for Landline Comedy is I use the space for free and I don't charge, but I can keep 100% of any tips.
Okay.
So that works pretty well. Obviously, the more people come out, the more they enjoy themselves, the more you're going to get paid. But there's like all kinds. There are bars in that part of Brooklyn that have a rule against charging. Period. And I
Mm.
don't know. I've heard it's because of the liquor license. That might be an urban legend, but
Hmm.
there's that. There's some places that have like a very unfavorable split of the door to toward the producer. So it varies greatly. We did the Would You Rather show at City Winery, which is a great venue. They're all over the country. I don't know if there's one in Denver, but I know it's in
I've heard of
Pittsburgh
them.
also.
They don't have them in Denver yet, but yeah, yeah.
It was a great venue. They treated us so well and all this stuff, but like the amount of tickets we sold and money we made and what we took home after recouping costs was like barely more than we make in other places. And, we pretty much packed it out. And, I guess it's just kind of a different level of production. But yeah, so it varies quite a bit.
Huh. Um, how does, I imagine booking is pretty different in New York City. Like, I
Yeah.
produce shows in Denver and actually mostly up in the mountains. So it's like a 2 hour drive.
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of limited. One, I can like fly in a headliner and then I can pick from a pool of probably close to 300 comedians in Denver, which is pretty big. But
Yeah.
then they have to be able to drive 2 hours or get a ride. So it kind of limits the people that I can choose from. In New York City, I mean, you must have so many people to choose from, including quite a few relatively famous comedians.
Yeah.
What is that like?
Yeah, so I'll talk specifically about Landline, which if people watching don't know is the showcase style show that Mark was on last week. It's at a brewery called Wild East in Gowanus, Brooklyn. So that show, I have like a kind of a rough formula where I will try to get one or two bigger name comics in New York who a lot of them are based here and most of them are pretty cool about doing a show for 10, 15 bucks or whatever. Sometimes I'll even turn it down. So I get one or two of those people who have a decent following, who have good credits, who are easy to use in promotion and then two or three people who I know are very funny and they might not have a following, but if people are already in the seats, they're going to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And then I usually try on each show to like give one newer comic a chance, or maybe like a random stranger who messaged me. If I like the tape, I'll put them on. And also if comics are in town visiting, as long as the tape is not a disaster, I'll probably throw them on. You know,
Okay.
so it's
Let
kind
me
of
ask a quick question about the people with credits. Do
yeah.
you find that they actually draw, or is it
That's a
more
tough
like,
question to answer. At times, yes. At times, no. There's been a few comics who like have come to do the show, and people who are not comedy fans have come out just to see them and asked to take pictures and stuff like that.
Huh.
That's, I'm guessing, maybe over the 4 years I've been doing it, that's happened maybe 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
But it's
Do you have
more,
an example? Can you remember an example of that?
like Adam Conover, Katie Boyle, I think, maybe Caitlin Palufo,
Oh,
uh,
cool.
people like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I think like the credits thing, it helps when you put it in the you mention it in the Instagram ad, the Instagram post. It gets a little bit. I found. Do you ever use Bands in Town, that
Yeah,
platform?
sure.
I found if the performer has an artist page and you include them, I think that picks it up a little bit, and we've had some success with that. But really, getting comics of that level who are professional comics who are national headliners, but not like huge household names, I think if there's a comedy fan within the area in Brooklyn and sees that name on a flyer, they're more likely to come out. It's not like people who aren't fans are just going to see that,
Right.
and like Chris Rock or Seinfeld, Amy Schumer, whatever. But it
Sure.
does help for, and uh, that part of Brooklyn is pretty young and artsy and stuff like that. So there are a lot of fans that helps with.
Do, question about the bands in town. Does your show have a bands in town page, or did like you have a bands in town page and then you put the show on it and you tag the
My
comics?
my show, like the as a production, has the page. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh. Interesting. Cool.
I'm remembering now. You have an account, right? Because I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
do.
sure I tagged you. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice. I don't know how you see that. You don't get like notifications when you're tagged, I don't think. But
I've never used it as a performer, just to produce shows.
it,
And when there's a field for the lineup, and
yep.
when you put the name in it, if it's someone with an account, it kind of
Yeah, yeah. It auto
auto-populates.
populates or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, it's kind of a neat, it does help with promotion, especially in smaller towns. Like I find that like if I'm running the ticket sales, then
yeah,
usually I'll be able to tell where the ticket sales are coming from through affiliate codes and other ways. And the
yeah,
link on bands in town is specific to like I can tell when people buy from that link. And in small towns, I don't know what bands in town does, but the shows they promote them well. And I don't pay anything for that. It's
that's a pretty cool aspect of it. That like the only thing you're losing is 10 minutes of labor, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
the upside is,
it's pretty quick to
yeah.
add a show.
Do you use a lot of meta ads?
I do for the shows I run. I my quick thoughts on meta ads are that in big cities they're a waste of money. In
Yeah.
small towns they're good, but more on Facebook than probably Instagram.
Okay.
And honestly, I can't really say that it's money well spent, but I feel better. Like I sleep better at night as a producer
Yeah.
when I throw, like I have a show Wednesday up in the Vale area,
Yeah.
and 3 weeks ago it was not selling well, and I was worried about it. And I set up like a $250 ad campaign, which is a significant amount of money. And I was like, at least if I spend this money, I'll feel like I did everything I could, even if it doesn't sell well. And now it is selling very well. And
Yeah.
was it because should I have just been patient? Probably. But
No,
maybe yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, like a lot of the shows I produce, I mean, 99% of them, I'm terrified until the show starts that no one's going to show up. So I get it, like I
Right.
absolutely get it. But that Would You Rather show I was talking about, my friend Maggie and I, who run it now, have taken it on the road a lot. We've actually done it in Denver twice,
Okay. What
and
venue?
Western Sky, Harrison
Oh,
Garcia's,
yeah, yeah.
down in,
Cool.
I think that's in Englewood, right? Or yeah, I think
Yeah, it's in a weird yes, it is. It
yeah.
doesn't to a Denver person that doesn't feel like Englewood to me, but yes,
Okay.
I think the street address is technically in Englewood.
Yeah, it was cool. Both times it went really well. We had a good turnout. It was a lot of fun. But when we do it on the road, because we don't know a lot about where we're doing it. Like Meta is like the easy kind of default thing to do, and then we hit up all the local calendars. But I've noticed in a few places we've gotten like an astronomical amount of views and even interactions, and it hasn't resulted in that many ticket
Exactly.
sales.
Yeah, you can't really I mean,
So
it makes you feel better, like, "Oh,
yeah,
woo,"
yeah,
the reel was seen
sure,
12,000 times,
yeah.
but I'm still trying to fill a 30-seater here, and it's
Yeah.
not filling up.
We did Lyric Hyperion in LA back in December, And I got on the plane and we had 4 tickets sold like
Oh,
2 days before.
brutal.
I was like, "Am I really going to fly across the continent to do the show in front of one table of people?" And
Oh,
it wound up selling, I think, 35 or 40 tickets in that room, maybe more. But like by the time the show started, it wasn't packed, but it felt good. Like all the seats were filled, and then the seats around the edge were not, but like all the tables were
right.
full, so it felt fine. But it's just like it's so nerve wracking to try to produce something out of town, you know?
Totally. Totally. Well, even in town,
Oh,
like if you don't have any ticket sales, it stinks.
oh,
It's a bad feel. Like not only are the couple of people who are attending the show probably going to have a bad time, the
yeah.
comics are going to have a bad time, which is probably my number one concern. And then what most people are worried about is you're losing money when that happens. So, yeah. So, and in the venue too, like the venue, that's not good for the venue. Yeah, that's a
Uh,
bummer.
I would say, look, really quick, because I wanted to ask you something, but really quick, I would say if anybody's starting to produce, this should not need to be said, but just be cool to the venue. Like,
Yeah.
the more you, like, the better relationship you have with not just the owners, but the people who work there, the more slack you're going to get. Because even if your show is good, eventually you're going to have a bad show. And if you're kind of a jerk, they'll, after 2 bad shows, they'll be like, well, we don't need this person. Where if like you have
Mhm.
a good relationship with them, they might let that slide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the amount of people I've heard who like won't set up or break anything down or just like rude to the servers or ask for more drinks for their friends or whatever is like you're already in a difficult position producing in New York and you're just making it harder. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What do you guys at Vale have a is it mostly tourists?
It's a mix. It's half
Okay.
and half. It's seasonal. So in ski
Okay.
season, we
Yeah.
might have like 70% out of towners,
Yeah.
20-30% in towners. That's
Mhm.
partly because the in towners are all working 2, 3 jobs. They're super busy. They
Yeah.
can't come to they're working a third shift. They can't come to the show anyways. And there's tons of tourists in town. And then
Yeah.
in off season, we have a lot less tourists, but then the locals come out stronger.
Cool.
So it's a mix. We also give away a lot of tickets or big discounts to locals, which really helps in our shows because I'm sure you've experienced this around the country. A wealthier audience is definitely not a better comedy audience.
Oh yeah.
Rich people don't laugh, basically. And
Yeah.
so if I can seed, if I have a 70 seater and 60 of them are paying $1,000 a night for their hotel room, which
Yeah.
is an absurd luxury for most of America, but in Vail is just like normal.
Yeah. Anybody who's there is paying that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're paying quite a bit of money and then they're paying for lift tickets. And I mean, their vacation is so expensive. And I try to keep that in mind when I'm charging what I think is an expensive ticket price. But for them, it's like a cocktail around the corner. So I try and plant in the audience, 10 barbacks or lifties or,
Yeah.
people who are going to order PBRs and they're going to be good laughers and are going to make the show better for everybody.
Yeah. That's a really smart approach because that's absolutely true. I ran for a few years a show at Sugar Bush, which is a ski resort in Vermont,
Yeah.
and it was in the base area. I don't know if you guys do it in the actual village of Vale or is it a
Yeah.
venue offsite?
Well, so Vail Comedy Show happens kind of all around what's loosely called the Vail Valley, but the
Yeah.
ones that are in Vail are in the village.
Okay.
Yeah, usually at like a hotel.
Right. Oh yeah, I know that area pretty well. So like the one at Sugar Bush was in the actual base lodge and it started maybe like 6 or 7. So like not as late as a normal comedy show. So a lot of people had either had gone to their condo or whatever, or had just like stuck around. It was usually packed out. It was one of the toughest rooms I've
Is
ever
that because they were
worked.
tired from a
I
ski
think it
day?
was that, and just like they were not a great laughing audience, but almost every single time we did it, and I did it for 3 years. Like afterward, people would come up to us and be like so thankful and appreciative.
Hmm.
And it's just like it's not a comedy. Like they had a great time. They just like
Could have
didn't
also
show
been
it.
the acoustics. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like if you do an outdoor show or a movie
Oh,
theater show that has sound dampening
yeah.
in the theater, like
Mhm.
sometimes you can see the people laughing, but you can't hear them the same way you can in like a brewery that has a lot of hard surfaces.
Yeah, that's true too. But I just thought of what you said. Like wealthier people are not good audiences. I think
Right.
that was kind of the dynamic, and also
Okay.
people who like might not even understand what stand up comedy really is, and they're like in town, like oh, this is something to do. We don't have to drive. We can just go over to
Yeah.
the lodge.
How did you get to Vermont? How
Uh,
often were you running the show?
I was like 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay. And you would
So
just make a weekend out of it or something?
exactly. And
Okay.
skiing is a big part of my life, so I would tack on some
Yeah.
skiing days. And then usually not every time, but I would sort of try to piece it together with comedy somewhere else. Like I did Montreal one time, New
Yeah.
Hampshire, Boston, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Have you worked with Andy Haynes?
Yeah, he's done my show. I don't know him well, but he's done my show a couple times.
Okay. He used to be a semi-pro skier. He
Yeah.
rips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's from like the Northwest, right? Like Idaho or Washington, I think.
Seattle. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any like white whales, like comics in New York you're trying to book or would love to book, or who's somebody that you were really excited that did one of your shows?
One comic I really want to get on, who's booked a few times and it's just never worked out because he had stuff with Shane Torres, who I think is like super super funny.
Yeah.
Um, let's
Does he
see.
live in New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, David Cross, we tried to get on our Would You Rather a couple times, and same thing. He replied and he was interested, but he just had conflicts.
Yeah.
Those are two, and there's uh, yeah, I think those are maybe two big ones. An interesting thing I've noticed. I don't. This is kind of like moving all around, but I've done this show
Sure.
at festivals a couple times, and I don't know if you've ever produced at a festival or just performed.
Well, I run two comedy festivals, if that's what
Oh,
you mean,
so,
but I haven't run
so
like my own show at a
right.
festival.
No, that's what I meant. But as a producer of a festival, I think that's an even better question for you. How do you feel about putting together lineups for outside producers on the festival? Because we've had a range of experiences. Like some festivals just want to select who's going to do our show, and then other ones are very hands off.
Okay, that you kind of broke up there, but was the question, what do you think about basically like shows, how would you call it? Like a themed show
Yeah, like we've
coming to
done
a
our We Do Rather
festival?
show at Sketchfest in
Yeah.
San Francisco and fly
Yeah, I
over.
mean, I'll tell you, I don't to not put any sugarcoating on it, I hate
Yeah.
it. Like
Okay.
as I like, a lot of people reach out and they're like, "Hey, we got
Sure.
this show, which is basically a theme and a bunch of comics, and we'll come and we'll bring our comics or we'll use your pool of comics. You know, I know half the comics on your
Yeah.
lineup already. We can get them." Here's the problem. For me, I have a lot of comedians and very limited stage time, and every comedian wants a ton of stage time. And also, venues are difficult to track down. And so, I I would use even more time slots if they were available for just regular showcase shows, and they would be comedians would happily do them, and audiences would happily go to them.
Yeah.
So for me to like give up a time slot
Yeah.
is very tough. Also, my festival is kind of unique in that we don't do overlapping shows. I
Okay.
feel like that's, I mean, it's obviously a way to make more money and grow a festival, but
Yeah.
I don't like the energy it brings. To me, it's not quite as big a foul as having a competition aspect to your festival, but
Yeah, I'm
like
not a fan of that at all.
yeah, for obvious reasons. Like, you know, all of a sudden, what's supposed to be like comedy summer camp is now turning into everybody's like out against each other. It's pitting the you know, we don't want to turn this into the Hunger Games
Yeah.
for comedians. But I feel that similarly, I go to a lot of festivals, even as a audience member, to see what's going on. And what I've experienced in festivals that have overlapping shows is I'll be at a show and an amazing comedian will be on stage, you know, Maria Bamford or David Cross or something like that. And all of a sudden, 12 people in the middle of the showroom get up and walk out in the middle of this person's set
Yeah.
because there's a new show starting around the corner. And
Yeah.
they have FOMO and they don't want to miss out. And the other thing is, like a lot of festivals, our festival in particular, the Vail Comedy Festival, which is every Memorial Day weekend, everybody, vailcomedyfestival.com for tickets or to inquire about being a comedian there. Um, we have surprise drop-ins all the time. So like we have headliners who fly in and are doing one headlining show, but
Yeah.
they're going to be on like 5 shows throughout the festival. And we don't tell anybody which shows they're going to be on. when you have overlapping shows, you hear, oh, David Cross popped into the bagel shop show that only
Yeah.
had 30 people at it. And then you feel bad as a customer. You're like, oh man, I almost went to that bagel shop show, but I didn't. So I missed out on something. So to
Yeah.
me, I don't like overlapping shows, which is why we don't do overlapping shows, which is why we don't have a lot of extra uh, space, which is why
Yeah.
we don't have what would you call them? Theme shows or
Yeah, I would say a theme show. Yeah.
yeah, that's why we've
Yeah.
turned away theme shows in the past.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, we have done that show at a few festivals. Sketchfest in San Francisco was great. And I feel like I don't know if you've done it, but that show is more just like no, I'm sorry, that festival is more just like there's a bunch of shows going on in the Bay Area and they're gonna stamp the branding on it. Like it's
Yeah.
not like
It's
the
more
recent
like a fringe fest. Have you
yeah, kind of like that. It's not like everybody's staying within the same a couple blocks of each other and like running from one to the other. So in that way, that show worked out great. They were awesome to work with. We did one of the last shows at Piano Fight before it closed, and it went great. And then and we did Flyover in St. Louis, which was also awesome. We headlined one of the nights there, and it did have some overlapping stuff, but it felt like everyone from the festival kind of made their way to Improv Shop, which is where our show was, like at the end of the night, and it was like one of the best shows I've ever put on in my life. It was awesome.
that rules. That rules. We had a flyover. That's Rafe Williams, right?
Yeah,
Runs
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah. There's a good Always Bookin Comedy episode a few weeks back. Everybody, you can tune into that. Cool. So I didn't get who's the biggest comedian you've booked that you were excited about, like biggest to you that you were excited about.
we had Chris Estrada on the show in LA, and I loved this school. I thought that was like, such a cool show. So that was pretty cool. It's maybe not like maybe the biggest, but
Yeah,
to me it was like one of the coolest moments. Like I thought that was
yeah, that's very cool. And out of town, getting a
yeah.
out of town comic, that's got to be stressful. When you were talking about producing shows out of town, like the booking can be difficult.
Yeah, we've learned some lessons the hard way, but in general, like we the cool thing about not being at a level where like we're getting a lot of offers is we get to pick where we're going, and that's true for me as an individual stand-up. Also, like I'm completely in control of where I want to go because I can get shows, I can get booked, but it's not like I have all these offers. So I'm going to go to places that I enjoy, like Colorado, Los Angeles, Chicago, places like that,
Yeah,
and then I'll reach out to a comic who's in that scene who I know from either they've been in New York or I've been traveling before and met them, and kind of let them be a sort of guide to the local scene to like it's booking, but also how to promote and things like that. And it's worked well for the most part. We've had some misses, but it's worthwhile.
nice. All right, we got to start landing this plane. Let's start with your theme show.
Yep.
Where can people? Why don't you promote that a little bit?
It's at WYR Comedy on Instagram. Right now we are taking a little bit of a break because my co-host had a baby, but we'll probably be back in a few months. And then my other show, Landline, which Mark just did, is at Landline Comedy.
Okay. And how about you?
It's at number one Andre. They're all spelled. It's all spelled out. It's no numerals. So
All
at
right.
number one Andre.
NUMBERONEANDRE.
You got it.
Everybody on Instagram.
Yeah.
Where are you traveling to next? You got any plans?
Yeah, I will be in Boulder hosting and featuring for Will Abels on October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then I'm doing the Oak City Comedy Festival in Raleigh, middle of October. And then I'm going to be in Vermont the second week of November. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Andre Medrano, everybody. Check him out.
Thanks so much, guys.
We'll see you next time. If you have questions, by the way, I'll check the YouTube later. So this was a pre-taped episode, but I will respond if you want to pop anything in here. And if you got a question for Andre in particular, I'll make sure he sees it and get an answer. And yeah, thanks for using that light. That was a good job this episode, Andre.
Oh, thanks so much, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see everybody next